Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Podcast The Sequel, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the continued. I'm Manira.
I'm Joseph.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Marissa.
And today we are going to be talking about Weekend at Bernie's 2. So before we get into it, does anybody know what Weekend at Bernie's means?
Like the definition? Like
yes, Weekend at Bernie's has a definition. Do you guys know what it means?
Oh,
okay,
Like in the
encyclopedia?
dictionary?
Like
yes,
on there?
it's on the
I
dictionary.
mean, I
Oh,
didn't
shit.
realize that it had an actual definition.
It does.
I just assumed it's their weekend at Bernie's vacation house.
Okay,
I'll guess. I'll guess one. Like I always thought Weekend at Bernie's as being like shit faced, like passed out
A
while your
party,
homies
yeah.
are hanging out around you, and you're the drunk one that first passed out. That's what I always thought.
So if you guys didn't know, Weekend at Bernie's is actually a verb, and the definition of it is the act of propping up a friend who's passed out and can't stand on his or her own.
It's pretty good.
Right?
I like that a lot.
All
actually.
right.
So
Okay.
now
I
that
feel like
we,
we've done that in our
Yeah.
lives
Oh,
at
yeah.
one point or
I know
Yeah.
I've done it for you many a times over here.
Damn. All right.
All right, cool. So we're just throwing
Oh,
daggers,
shit.
getting real. All right. Thought
So-
this was a
Hey, whoa,
podcast,
whoa,
but I
whoa.
guess not. I'm just
Don't say
kidding.
daggers. People are dead in this movie.
So before we get into it, with it being almost the end of summer, we are going to be talking about Weekend at Bernie's. So Weekend at Bernie's came out in 1989, was directed by Ted Kotcheff. Sorry if I butcher your name. But what do we all think about Weekend at Bernie's? Who wants to go first?
You
Passing
bring
on
up
the
that
torch.
name, and I don't think people realize he also directed the first Rambo movie.
That was.
Oh, no, sorry.
That was my
First blood.
First Blood.
First Blood.
And he also directed the original Fun with Dick and Jane. Not the Jim Carrey one,
No,
the
yeah,
original
the
one.
original.
Yeah,
in,
the
like,
original
the
one.
70s?
Yeah, I think,
It was
yeah,
like
76,
77,
70,
yeah,
James
something like
Fonda was in it. That's the original one. Before people are like, the Jim Carrey one? No, not that one.
I mean, that one's good too.
Weekend at Bernie's, I didn't watch it early on. I've always equated it with, I watch a lot of baseball. When they always go to like a fan that's passed out, they'll always bring up Weekend at Bernie's. So I have seen it. I think it's a classic comedy. I feel like it's a quintessential end of summer film. It works in so many ways. It's just like it's an adventure with so much buffoonery going on, but it works and it makes sense. Like I love it. It's a good fun film. It's a good film that you can just slap on anytime, especially it works in summer again. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this movie. I've seen it a lot of times. I'll say that. I think it's very fun. It's a buddy comedy. You know, like I really like their chemistry together because you get that real odd couple kind of vibe from them, where it's like one guy's the uptight, I gotta do right. Another guy's real lax. It's a good time. I really enjoy it a lot.
Marissa?
I have so many thoughts on Weekend at Bernie's. I don't even know where to begin. So I've always seen snippets of Weekend at Bernie's. I've never seen it like from start to finish. And I think like because we're talking about it, kind of sat down and watched it from start to finish. I had a great time. Like I didn't even like there was no like moment where I'm like looking at the clock being like, all right, is this over yet? I know to me like the premise in general is just like it's insane, right? Like if somebody came to you and was like, hey, we're gonna do this movie where like this guy's dead and these two guys just go along with it. Like that's insane. But I feel like for what the premise is, it's just like executed extremely well. I don't think that it's one of those movies where like it could be remade again. I don't think it could be redone again. I think it's like perfect timing. Like late 80s, just like I think like you guys said, like they're just a very like dynamic duo kind of thing. I think their chemistry is really great. I've even seen like, you know, interviews with them now or like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, or like at different cons where they're just very very dynamic. Like they work really well. Their chemistry is really good, and you like believe that they're actually friends. I have a lot of different like anecdotes. I don't want to just like I'll just give my little like piece on it, but I love Weekend at Bernie's. I think like I think Joseph said like you can just put it on at any time. Yeah, it's a good time. I think it's very funny, very slapstick, very situational comedy.
Yeah, there's great physical comedy that
Yeah.
goes on
Oh,
in
yeah.
this movie.
I think honestly too, it's one of those movies where like there's sometimes where I think with different movies and depending on the premise where I'm like, oh my god, would this almost be a better like Saturday Night Live kind of skit? I think this would also be a great Saturday Night Live skit where like Bernie's just there. Like I think this would be a great kind of just like situational character, like a one note. I mean, this worked great as a movie, but I think in general, like it would have been a fun like gimmick kind of character.
I also agree with you. I have not watched Weekend at Bernie's from start to finish. I know the little tidbits of Weekend at Bernie's, but when I sat down and I watched it, I enjoyed it. I didn't really have any complaints about the movie. It was very enjoyable watching it from start to finish. One of the things that I did, like researching the movie, is that the original title for Weekend at Bernie's was supposed to be Hot and Cold.
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting, and it made sense to me because obviously it's a warm body and then it's just
It's cold.
cold. But
And it's not.
and then it's not. But overall, I thought it was good. I had no complaints. I thought one of the things that I found interesting was Andrew McCarthy did a lot of his scenes was improvised. So the Monopoly scene was improvised, throwing Bernie off of the balcony was improvised too. And then I think one of the most famous scenes is like when they like staple the wig on Bernie. That was also an
great.
improvised scene. So it made me just
Iconic scene.
enjoy the movie a lot more, knowing that a lot of it was just like improvised comedy. Overall, I had a really good time watching it. I know I have a habit of reaching for my phone a lot while watching movies. I didn't see myself like being like, all right, let's watch more.
Yeah.
Let's go on my phone or anything.
It's good
Overall,
Mooney scale.
It
of
is
how
the
good a
Mooney
movie
scale.
is.
Yeah, like
And
I
didn't- I
yet
didn't
you
go on my phone.
hated Alien. And
I like comedies. You know
She
what?
didn't- She didn't TikTok during this one.
I
Yeah.
did not. I did not go on TikTok this time. But overall, I thought it was great. Me personally, I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5 poppies. It was good.
okay.
It was enjoyable. Made me laugh. Made me giggle.
I love it.
It was great. It was a good time.
We're
Joseph?
we're doing ratings. All right, cool. I agree with you 100%. I'm at 3.5. 3.5 poppies out of 5.
Damn, we're on
I'm
the
right there.
same
Yeah,
wavelength.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I already had that mindset going into this pod, so I'm like, yeah, that's what I was comfortable with, and I'm gonna stick with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm right there. 3.5 poppies as
No.
well. That's what I rated it.
Ooh.
I do have 2 other fun facts
Let's hear it.
Hit
that
it.
maybe
ready.
that you might not know.
I have so many things.
Based
I
on
have so
someone
many.
who really loves Friends.
Oh, that it's Rachel's favorite
Oh.
film.
Indeed
Yes,
it is,
that's one of
yes.
that's one of the things that I found out too.
The other thing is that it's actually based on another movie.
The Bollywood
yeah.
film.
Yeah, the
The Bollywood
Indian
film.
movie
Let It
from
Go, Friend?
1983.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's about it. That's all. The only other.
Yeah.
As far as this movie goes, I just had too much of a good time just watching it
Mm-hmm.
and just reliving the funny moments from it that I don't really have that much
Yeah.
trivia that there is that much trivia to actually say about it, other than like things that everyone already knows.
I'm gonna try to like compact all of my stuff into one. I want to touch back on Mooney bringing up the original name of the film, which is Hot and Cold. So the song that actually opens up the movie is, I don't think the name of it is actually Hot and Cold. It may or may not be, but it's actually that song is for the movie, and it's actually sung by
Is it Katy Perry?
no, no, I wish. No, yeah, she was alive. She would have been alive by then. Jermaine Stewart, which has his biggest hit. I don't know if you guys know, but it's the like "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off." That song.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to take
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
clothes off. Yeah. To have a good time. Anyway, so he does that song, but he did this song for the movie because originally it was supposed to be Hot and Cold, which, as you said, references like his body being hot as alive, and now it's cold because he died. So I think that's really fun. On a more serious note, even though this is a comedy, I think that this is a very interesting movie because there's a lot of like working class themes that are going through. Like even from the very beginning, like we have these 2 guys, dynamic duo, obviously, that are like working class, right? They're like working as hard as they can to like get to where they, pay their rent, do the things that they love. And there's even like a scene where they're going through, I think it's like Central Park, and somebody tries to like mug them. They're like, get out of here. Like they're not even about it. And I think it's just like there's so many like little lines that contribute to it being about the working class and like trying to work hard for your goals and your dreams. And there's even a line I think that he says where he's just kind of like my old man worked hard his whole life and like all they did was give him more work. So I think it's like a very like you get that like introduced very early on that it's about the working class, and then you flip over to when they finally get to like Bernie's house for the weekend, and like at this point like Bernie's already done, he's already gone, and all of his friends who are more of like that kind of like posh like aristocrat level are so involved with themselves and their money and what they're doing that they don't even notice that he's dead. And I think it speaks to like another level of like working class versus kind of like social class, aristocratic level.
Yeah.
I mean, like not to take it too seriously because obviously this is not a serious film. It's very fun. It's very goofy.
serious, okay.
Yeah, it's very silly. Yeah, it's very silly. It's very goofy. Like I'm not trying to take away from that, but I think like there's like so much like as I think I mentioned with like Alien and or the Alien, that there's a lot of like sexual undertones. I feel like there's a lot of like working class humor, seriousness undertones with this movie. My fun fact for this movie, which isn't really like a fact. It is a fact because it's true. But it's something that you can't really find. Is that I don't know if you guys know Andrew. So Andrew McCarthy is is part of the Brat Pack, right?
Yeah.
So obviously he's been in a lot of films, dealing with that. He was in a movie called Mannequin.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
Yes, right, with Kim Cattrall and everything like that. So there's actually a sequel to Mannequin, and he was not in that sequel, but Terry Kaiser was, who plays Bernie. So I think that's funny that they're both in the Mannequin family as well. So I found that like
that's a fun factoid.
Yeah, I feel like that's really
I feel like that's something that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun. Well, yeah, because I looked up and I was like, I know Andrew McCarthy, like from Brat Pack and everything, like Pretty in Pink, everything like Mannequin. But I was like, who's who is Terry Kaiser? Like, I know he does a lot of little bit parts, but he mostly is known for Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, he's a real good character actor.
Yeah, good character actor. I think he's done a lot of like bit parts. Honestly, like watching him in interviews talking about Weekend at Bernie's, like this is like a beloved like cult classic. Like even though he's not doing a lot of talking in these roles in these movies, I think he's just truly like just blessed to be a part of it, and he's really about it. And I think that that's really fun. Like even though you're not, like I mean, who can say that they're really excited to be in like Garfield the live action?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Kind of thing. But anyway, I don't know. I think that was really fun. I love these characters. Like I think that they're great. Just they work very well off each other. Once again, like watching interviews with the two of them, it seems like they have a really good camaraderie, a really good friendship over the years.
Their chemistry definitely carries that film.
I feel like that,
chemistry was
that to me
definitely
like
good.
carries
a lot of
it.
Mhm.
Like you can really tell that they've been friends over this time. And like Jonathan Silverman, we haven't really seen him in a lot of stuff, but I did find out just doing a little bit digging that he's more known for like Broadway and plays, and he's actually really good friends with. If you guys know who Neil Simon is, he's actually really decent friends with him. I know I was like, you're shaking.
I was like, no, I don't. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, me neither.
But that's cool.
Well, no, because like going into this movie, I was like, oh, I don't know a lot of like these names. So I think it's just really fun that these people that they're in it. I don't think I gave.
You didn't give your
rating.
rating.
Your poppy.
Hit us with a rating.
I'm gonna go based on kind of like an overall scheme of like characters, time frame, and just a singled movie. Because I know we're gonna get into Weekend at Bernie's too. I'm gonna give it a solid 4 out of 5.
Ooh. Wow, that's up there.
Okay.
I think it was very entertaining. It's very lighthearted. I think it has like those undertones if you want to take it seriously, but even if you don't and you just want to take it at face value. I think it's just very fun, goofy, silly. I had a great time. I would watch it over and over again. I think there's a lot of good lines, great characters. You care about them, and you want them to, get through this.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I liked it.
Yeah, that's good. So, Weekend at Bernie's was a very successful movie. It had a $50 million budget. It doubled its budget, and that's how we ended up with Weekend at Bernie's 2. So, he wants to get into Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Can I take that?
Yeah, go for it.
Run with it.
I was like, I know I just
Go
talked
for it.
like
No.
a milestone about all my stuff. Weekend at Bernie's 2. I loved Weekend at Bernie's, their first one. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that they would have gotten a sequel to this. Like, it's insane to me. I think even the cast was like, absolutely not. Like, no way they weren't thinking about it. And even I think like in like what I said, they're watching those interviews, they never thought that this would get a sequel. Like, it would just be a like standalone film. And I think even like they asked Terry Kaiser like, hey, like, we're doing the sequel, where do you want to go? And he's like, I want to go somewhere warm where I can like stick my feet in the sand. And that's how they ended up in like St. Thomas. And it's just like like this film is just so unnecessary. Like, the only thing that I can say is just like we fell in love with these characters from the first one, like the dynamic duo of Larry and Richard. Like, that's my only redeeming quality, is just like seeing them again. So I do enjoy seeing more of them, but it's just so hard to believe that like all of this nonsense is going through. The voodoo is just
Oh,
it's so
I hated the voodoo.
Well, and that's like
I was not
yeah.
for the
It's a tough
voodoo.
watch.
I'm never really a fan of voodoo in a movie. Like unless it's specifically regarding voodoo, like if it's a story about voodoo and like the
Mhm.
culture and everything about
it's
it.
voodoo donuts.
So
Voodoo donuts are
good.
good.
Skeleton.
So good.
Or like like skeleton key kind of stuff, but like even like Child's Play has voodoo and I'm
yeah,
like
shit, yeah.
where what? Huh? And you're just questioning.
mama,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, just very questionable about everything. I'm not as invested. It was very like kooky and just not. I have some fun random facts, but I'll let everybody else go.
I
and
have the
say their
same as
piece
you.
first.
I honestly, I did not enjoy Weekend at Bernie's too. I just could not get behind the voodoo
rough.
element. I was just, I enjoyed the dynamic duo aspect of Richard and Larry. One of the things that I did like about Weekend at Bernie's too is I like their little slogan that they had when they released the movie. That it was, "We're back again. Bernie's still dead," or something
Bernie's
along.
back and he's
Bernie's
still
back
dead.
and he's still dead. It's one of those things, and I was like, one of the things I was like, okay, it's been 10 years since the first one came out, and then the second one came out. So when I first found out, like, oh, it happens, like it came out 10 years later, I was like, how'd they keep his body still alive? Like it's been 10 years. Like at this point, he's basically just bones. But I think it takes place like a couple of days later.
It takes
It's
like
the
I want to
very
say it
next
takes
day.
place like the day or two after because they go up. So Weekend at Bernie's. The first one is Labor Day weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and they go up. I think like Friday or Saturday, and then it goes through Saturday, and I want to say they come back. It ends on a Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday,
it was
maybe
like
early morning.
yeah,
afternoon.
Yeah.
early morning afternoon. So I mean, I would almost think that like when they get the body finally down to like the coroner's office and do all the paperwork and everything like that, it would be on Labor Day.
Mhm.
Is what
Mhm.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, like Sunday or.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I have no. Yeah, I was
possibly.
like, I have no. I mean, I would assume like people are gonna die no matter what day it is. Like
Yeah.
even if it's closed, it's not Chick-fil-A. Like they don't close on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah. So I would assume that it happens either that Sunday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
his body would still
Technically be
be
alive.
fresh.
Fresh?
Yeah,
Fresh
like,
meat?
minty fresh.
fresh.
Maybe not minty fresh,
I mean,
but
he's still like cold as ice, but I mean,
I don't
Icy
really
hot.
know how a morgue works. Yeah, okay, icy hot.
I want to say like a body starts decaying after however many hours. I mean,
I
immediately.
think it's immediate, yeah, but
Mm.
like
Immediate.
effects start coming. It doesn't matter.
It was well preserved for 10 years,
Yeah.
essentially.
They kept
They
it warm.
Yeah, they put Terry Kaiser in a nice little ice box, and
Yeah.
they kept him fresh. And,
Cairo sleep or whatever it's called from Aliens.
but somehow, in the scheme of like 1 to
Always
2
goes back to
days, they got
aliens.
they got
Always.
different haircuts and aged different
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
and
Just
Yeah.
a little
it's fine.
bit.
It's not
just a
big deal.
tad
Yeah.
bit.
Not a big deal.
Yeah. But overall, I thought it was just meh.
It's
That's where I'll leave
it
it at.
fell in that trap a lot of comedies do, where as an unnecessary sequel,
Yes.
where
Yes.
it was not needed. A lot of comedy movies fall into that trap. This one, unfortunately, fell into that trap. Terry Kaiser, for me, he's probably the best part of the film.
Mhm.
He has zero dialogue in this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
has no words, and he's the best part.
dancing. Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
the best part. Yeah,
He's dancing.
and yeah, the voodoo stuff, the voodoo queen Mobu.
Mhm.
You can miss me with that. That is just, it is awful. Like the first one has the hitman. That's even more believable than a voodoo queen Mobu. Where then the chicken scene, where the chicken runs away, they sacrifice a
love it.
pigeon. Like it's just unnecessary bullcrap, and it doesn't work as well at all as the first one did. Yeah, the chemistry's still there, but like you're serving it with a plate of shit. Like
Yeah.
it's just the surroundings are just not well done. It's just not a good movie. It's also not the same director.
No.
The
No,
guy
it's
who
not.
wrote the first one,
Yes,
he
that's
also
true.
wrote the second one. He's the one that directed.
Yeah, he wrote and directed the second
He
one.
directed, and you can clearly tell that like it's just not well directed, not well written. It's a complete mess, and I wish that would have been one of the few movies that we realized, yeah, comedy sometimes could be one-offs, and they should just stay that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
that's
Mhm.
just, I feel like that was one of the very first big ones that was a mistake. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it. We just watched it recently again, and it's pretty bad. But a little fun fact that I do have for this film
Mm.
is they filmed a lot of these scenes in LA. 1992, April
Mm.
1992, the start of the LA riots. They had a dummy of Bernie while the riots were going on, and they stole the dummy, the $400 pair of shades that the dummy was wearing, and the hat that it was wearing.
Wait, they stole the shades and the glasses, or just the dummy and
The shades and the hat.
All of it.
Oh,
They took
yeah, I was
all
gonna
of
say,
it.
Oh, they
I was
took
gonna say,
everything?
They took all of
thing.
it.
Okay, I was like,
They just took it.
I gotta say it. Those were $400 shades, asshole.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and a lot of the cast were afraid for their lives during this, which clearly, I mean, it was like they're filming the movie when it took off.
Yeah.
Like the riot was just going towards them. They're like, "What are we doing?" Let the dummy there. They took in. They just ran with it. But yeah, this movie's it's bad. It's really bad. There's no saving grace for it. I can't even think of one moment in this film where I was like, okay, other than Terry Kaiser, like he was the only saving grace, and even then, it's not even that great. Another fun fact though, this movie has been mentioned more in like TV shows than the original has.
Really?
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. No.
Not in a
The
good
running,
way.
no, the
Not in a
running
good way.
joke is
Yeah.
how bad it is.
Mhm.
It's been mentioned in Seinfeld. It's been mentioned in How I Met Your Mother,
Mhm.
NCIS, and Beavis and Butthead.
Even
Yeah.
The Simpsons did it.
The
They did
Simpsons as well,
Weekend
yeah.
at Burnsies.
Rick and Morty did it as
Rick and
well. The
Morty did it
Seinfeld
too.
one is the one I remember the most because in the episode Elaine, yes, kids, you're gonna be shocked by this, but we used to have to go rent movies. We didn't have streaming apps back in the day. So in that episode, Kramer gives Elaine Weekend at Bernie's 2 because she's been watching all these artsy movies, and it cuts 2 scenes later to Elaine in bed watching Weekend at Bernie's 2. She's infuriated, and she's like, "Bernie's dead, you idiots!" She just screams, and it always used to get me. It's a great little moment in Seinfeld.
Yeah, I think like one of the things is like I never really watched Seinfeld before, but I started watching it. I think last year when we started rewatching it.
It's been a few years.
It's been a few years. Oh well, but we started rewatching it. It was pretty good.
I've never really seen Seinfeld. I'm sorry.
The cricket. No, it's a really good show, and I don't want to push it on you. But
No,
you
I
should-
hear,
we'll
no,
pick it up
I
eventually
have a
or
lot of
something.
friends that are like, "Oh my god, you would love Seinfeld. Like it's great." I
It's
think
good.
it just my dad always watched it. I think my mom watched it from here and there. I think it just kind of missed me from where
Mm.
I am in life. I don't know. Like I'm not against it at all. It's just never like been one of those things that like hit me. Like even Friends, like I know Friends is huge, but like I came in I think like halfway because of when it started. Like no, I'm not saying it's bad. I just like because of my
Okay.
age and when I grew up
I love
watching the
Friends.
most. No, I grew up watching the most like random series. Like me and my mom would watch like ER. Like that's what I grew up on. So when like I saw Grey's Anatomy come out, I was like, oh my god, it's just ER. Which like I know Grey's Anatomy fans will be like,
It's just
wait a
ER.
minute.
Yeah.
No, ER was great. No,
It's
Dr.
ER.
Green. Oh my god, no.
13
It's
seasons too
just,
long.
No.
Is ER the one that had George Clooney?
Yes.
Yes.
Never watched it.
Oh,
You
so good.
You would probably
Luca.
you would like it. You love Grey's
Luca.
Anatomy. You would like
love
it.
Luca.
Yeah.
The character Luca. Oh, so good.
I
You
like
would
Dr.
love
Luca in Grey's Anatomy.
It's the same person.
It's the
Same
same.
show.
Luca
It's the
was
same show.
first, and Dr. Green just so sentimental. I won't ruin it, but oh, so good. Anyway, my little note that I wanted to give for Weekend at Bernie's 2, which like it's a factoid, if you will. Like it's not like super well known or anything like that, but there's 2 slightly notable people in this movie that kind of like one sneaks kind of under the radar and the other one's kind of more, you know, more well known in the plot line. But the first one is the guy that's kind of coming after Larry and Richard for the $2 million, the money, which is Barry Bostwick, which, if you guys don't know or don't remember the name, is actually Brad Majors from Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's like the main guy.
Yeah, the young guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that's like Brad,
Yeah,
Janet, Brad. Yeah, that whole bit. Very fun. I like him a lot. And then the other one is when they're doing the submarine scene where like he's finally going underwater, which like we'll talk about the underwater scene as well, which is absurd, and like even I pointed out to you. But there's a submarine kind of like tour guide or whatever that's like, if you look to your left, you'll see the coral and all that stuff. That character is played by Constance Schulman, which she is, in my book, best well known as voicing the character Patty Mayonnaise on the Doug animated series.
And I know
It's a
Joseph.
great show.
It's so random, but like,
Random. But I heard, like, as soon
Yeah.
as I heard her voice,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I was like, that's Patty Mayonnaise.
yeah. As soon as I watched it, I was like, yeah, that voice sounds really familiar. And from the other room,
And
you're
I
like,
just looked
I
at you and I was
know.
like, I know it. Like, she's
I
about
don't want
to
to
be like,
rewatch it, but now I
"Daddy!"
kind of want to just to see that scene because I love Doug.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon
so
Doug.
great.
Nickelodeon Doug, not any other Doug.
The movie. Did you watch the movie?
I did
though?
watch the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just
missed me with it. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to talk about it because there's no sequel to it, but I mean, like, that movie is just like a something else.
Yeah,
It's just like there's like aliens, creatures.
it got
weird.
totally away from the
There's-
point of Nickelodeon Doug, and it was ruined. I didn't like what Disney did with Doug.
Well, I was fine with it when they did like the Hey Arnold movie. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Oh, I
like
love the
they're
Hey
going on
Arnold
an
movie.
adventure kind of thing, and like they're trying to save. Yeah, I was with it the whole time, but the Doug movie was a little, like a little askew, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to, you know.
Side note, in the Hey Arnold movie, did they like touch on his parents more?
I
Yes.
think
Yeah,
they did.
they
and
did.
I
Yes.
actually want to
Yeah.
say that they did like a Hey Arnold sequel, and that they actually like touched on the fact that his parents were still alive. We'll get to it when we get to it, but I mean,
Interesting.
There's
I
a
feel like that
sequel
was-
to Hey Arnold.
Yes.
I feel like there is.
I will let you guys know. Give me a second.
Yeah, I was like, don't.
Yeah,
I
look
was
that
like,
up, Jamie.
don't-
Yeah, don't
Don't quote me. I was like, don't.
We'll
quote me,
cross
but I
that
feel
bridge
like
when we
that's
cross it. But I did not know that. I know there's a Rugrats 2. That's about it. But like I don't never.
Oh my God.
There's also
Yeah.
Wild Thornberries 2 and 3.
What, they made
There's
a trilogy.
A third?
Yeah, it's Hey Arnold the Jungle movie is the second one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know it's something with the jungle, but I don't know if I remember seeing it.
yo,
if I
yo.
did.
Jungle Love. Sorry.
Anyway, so that was my little tidbit, but I don't think we actually got Ryan's your take
review,
on
yeah.
We Gotta Produce 2 yet.
Yeah. There was definitely some good things about Weekend at Bernie's too. There was a lot of bad things. For instance, like the good. I like the little Bernie voodoo doll. That what's her name?
Queen Mobu.
Yeah, Mobu,
Okay.
yeah.
Mobu.
Or someone hands it to someone, and it's the little face that's on it with the glasses is funny to me for some reason.
No.
Them putting the harness over the harpoon to take the cart down the road. It's ridiculous, but something about it just kind of made me laugh a little bit how stupid it was. Also, like Larry buying the matching shirts for him and Richard to wear, I thought was very funny.
Mhm.
I just like shirts. I think they're funny. I would have rocked that shirt
You
probably.
mean like the shirt you're wearing right now?
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit.
I feel like this is a missed opportunity for us that you and Joseph would have gotten. Like,
We should have
matching-
boued the shirts.
Yeah, like matching.
Right, I
shirts.
thought-
I told Joseph
wanted me to wear
that
Hawaiian
I was like,
shirt,
we
but
should
I
go to
won't.
Target before and get you and Ryan like
Shirts,
matching
stuff.
Hawaiian shirts
Yeah, something like that.
and like a straw hat.
I also straw hat, that would have been funny.
Oh yeah.
Missed opportunity, man.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we-
be drinking out of coconuts.
We could have.
Missed opportunity.
yeah.
Next time.
Damn. Shit. I really liked how. Shit. I really liked how hard they were on Bernie's body. I thought that was
Yes.
very funny. Like they kind of upped the ante on that because they just said like, you know, you could do whatever you want to Bernie. He's
Yeah.
dead. And I know that in the original movie, the stunt person who played Bernie actually got injured when they're just dragging him through the water and he's hitting those buoys. But in 2, they got him with the parachute and he's hitting all the palm trees, and stuff on the way
yep.
down, smacking the water. Shark bites him, takes him up. It's ridiculous. The bad was pretty much everything else in this movie.
A lot of their lines are a little like just kind of corny.
Yeah.
cheesy. And I feel like they're kind of playing just kind of on like what someone views of them.
Yeah, possibly.
And then even in the end, like regardless of like who they are and their race and everything like that, I just think it's like absolutely absurd that like they turn them into goats. they're
yeah,
just, like,
whatever you
talking
want to say at
goats.
the end of the
Yeah,
day.
like at the
as
end
soon as
where
they're
he's
just
just like
goats,
Bernie,
yeah.
Bernie's just like dragging them through the streets,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of like, "Hey man, well, like, at least we made it to the carnival."
It's
You're
it's one of the worst endings for any movie ever.
Wait, what?
That
Yeah,
ending
like,
is brutal.
Regardless of who they are, like you're just like they really went that far to like
Yeah.
turn them into goats, and like
Yeah.
it's just
Like,
so stupid.
What was the point? And like, how
Yeah.
far are we gonna reach to get to the joke?
Yeah,
Of
'cause
that
didn't-
being the joke, that's the payoff. The payoff was
I
like,
almost wish that they would have done this in a different way, where like they each had like a certain prop that you knew like that kind of signified their character, like
Mm-hmm.
a hat or sunglasses, a bow tie, and then at the end you just see the goats walking with that article of clothing.
That would've made more sense.
to signify,
Yeah.
and not necessarily like them speaking over and being like, "Hey man, like I can't believe we got turned into goats," and like, "Oh, at least we got to go to the carnival." It was just like you see Bernie dragging these 2 goats with the bow tie,
the
or
specific things
hat.
that they were wearing
Yeah,
beforehand.
or whatever they had that signified their
The signature
character,
look
yeah.
would have
That's what
carried
I
over.
almost wish- so that you almost like kind of looked for it, and you're just like, oh my god, they got turned into them the whole time.
Yeah.
It didn't even matter.
Instead of just doing what they did, which is just one of the worst endings to a movie.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's just so
bad.
silly, and but I think like even that final shot where it's it lands on like Bernie doing his like Bernie weird walk or whatever, and he's just like his head's back, and it freeze frames on like his character. Like it just kind of like opens up to like maybe there's a third.
Yeah, it leaves it very open ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I've heard that they made a script for it.
Yeah.
And it's apparently like amongst fans and like people who've done table reads on it is actually like one of the favorites.
Yeah.
That it's actually maybe good, and
I know
I
that
should probably check
they
it
always
out.
ask, like they'll always ask Andrew McCarthy and Terry Kaiser, like, "Oh, what about the third one? Is there going to be a third one?" But they're like, "Nah, man, like it's done.
That shit's
like there's not
gone.
going to be a third one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So riffing off of that, one of my fun facts that I have for you guys is that obviously there was a fan-made third one, if you will. So I did a deep dive on the fan-made third one. There's a whole website, screenplay, fan casting, everything of the entire third movie is out there. So it was written by Pete Johnson and Craig Miller. So the synopsis of the third movie is that it stars a real-life Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman who are attempting to jumpstart their career in Hollywood, and then they would decide to do a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's 2. And when they go ask Terry Kaiser to reprise his role as Bernie, they found out he's dead. So they continue with Weekend at Bernie's 3 by playing themselves, trying to recreate a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Like New Nightmare.
But isn't
Yeah.
he still alive?
Yes, but that's the whole point of the third
Oh,
one.
shit,
So
that's dark.
the fun
No,
fact.
but I think that that's a good like premise. It's,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's-
like very
okay, yeah,
kinda
yeah,
that's
meta.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very meta.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the thing that I enjoyed that when I because I like skimmed through the entire script, and the one thing that I found out that was really interesting that I thought you two would both enjoy is there's an extra end credit scene in this film. So the end credit scene is Quentin Tarantino calls action on scene 1, act 1 of Weekend at Bernie's 2. But you have Bradley Cooper and James Corden playing the main characters. However,
Get out.
the person who plays the title character of Bernie's, drum roll please, Daniel Day-Lewis is playing Bernie.
The Butcher?
Yes!
The fucking Butcher? Give me that
That's
movie.
fine.
dude.
Remember when I asked you
Yeah.
last night? I was like,
That's so
Yeah,
ridiculous.
randomly
Yeah.
last night she's like, "You Daniel Day-Lewis is the Butcher, right, from Gangs of New York?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why? No big deal." And I'm
yeah,
like,
he was
"What?"
like,
I'm
he,
Oh my
he
God.
literally
Oh,
came. He's like, we're watching
Part of me is like,
Gangs of New York, and I was like,
Give me a
no
cameo.
reason.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah. He literally was like
I
so
mean,
excited.
That-
Daniel Day-Lewis is like allegedly retired from
He
like
is.
making movies, so I mean,
is.
That might be what brings
And
him
that's
back.
what brings him out.
I mean, that
To
would
play
bring-
Bernie?
Yeah, that would bring him out.
Yeah. So when I read
Passing
that,
on
I was
every
like,
script
No
for
lines,
but
yeah,
Weekend
no
at Bernie's
lines.
2. I'm in.
you have the Weekend at Bernie's 3
Son
fan-made
of a
movie. Has Bradley Cooper,
Quentin Tarantino direct. That should be Tarantino's last movie.
Yeah, and then I think it was I like read through. So they had a bunch of like other Hollywood actors and actresses restarting their career as part of Weekend at Bernie's 3. So the one that stood out to me was Molly Ringwald, who had a famous
Oh
career
my
in the
God.
80s.
With Andrew McCarthy as part of the Breck Pack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she was coming
circle.
back to restart her career as well in Hollywood. And there was a bunch of others that I can't remember off the top of my head. But that Daniel Day-Lewis one, I thought you guys would really enjoy that.
That's
Really did.
so random.
That is.
I love that.
I would want that movie. I would pay to watch.
Even
that
though
movie.
it has James
I would
Corden.
watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be
Even though
really,
James Corden's in it too.
really dumb.
It's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I could do with or without
Yeah,
the James
it's,
Corden.
Yeah.
yeah, that's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Who was it? It was Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper and James Corden play the
What
main
a- okay.
characters.
Who's playing
Can we
Larry?
just no? Can
I
we,
actually don't remember.
can we just talk about like how goofy that dynamic duo would be?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
How
I feel-
different would it be as a film?
Like I thought that like Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman as a like romantic duo would be terrible,
So
and
good.
like it was
you finish
so
it?
Good. It was so good.
Such a good movie.
It was so good.
Yeah, you said you
I-
were
I-
saying
yeah, I
that,
mentioned
and I
it
was
to you.
like,
It didn't fit for me, but then it somehow worked for me. It was so strange. Like,
I liked
didn't
it.
Imagine. So I don't know. Like I don't want to say no because I actually found like I like Bradley Cooper, but
Mhm.
I just
Yeah, I
don't
did.
know.
I did too.
yeah. Well, I mean, if something works, it works, and like.
But I
again,
feel like they're both like goofy.
Yeah.
They would both be the goofball.
I think my oddball out would be Daniel Day-Lewis.
How dare
I know you love Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's great.
you could do anything.
Yes, but I don't know if I've actually seen him in a comedy movie. Right?
Give him
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give him a chance.
I'll give him a chance.
Oh, I was thinking of what's his name? I was thinking of
what, Rocket Raccoon.
No, I was thinking. Is it Tiptoes? Tiptoes?
For who?
To-
No, that's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
I know.
That's,
I know.
No,
that-
that's
I know it's not Daniel
what's his
Day-Lewis.
nose from Harry Potter.
Yeah, Gary Oldman.
Yeah. You go.
Gary Oldman.
I was
Oh
thinking
my
Gary
god.
Oldman. I was like, no, he was in. Is it
Tiptoes is the one
Is
that
it
you brought up.
Tiptoes?
though.
Oh my
That's
God.
wild.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, no
That's
Batman.
What I was thinking, I was like, no, that's
No,
not
that's
him.
the
That was
perfect
not him.
one. Yeah, no, that's
No,
what
Gary
I
Oldman would
yeah,
work 100% too. That would be great.
That's funny.
If you cast Gary Oldman, that would be awesome. But
I know.
Daniel
I was trying to think. I was like, is this like? I was watching an interview where it was Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman, and they were talking about remaking this movie. And they're like, no, this is like one of those movies you could probably never remake, especially now in those times, because like obviously the premise alone is just kind of like cuts it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like almost if you were to remake that movie, like who would your choices be for like the dynamic duo? Who would your choice be for Bernie? Who like not only like somebody who has to have like maybe possibly like besides having a stunt double, but like the physical chops of like playing a dead body without being a dead body. And then you also need to have this like dynamic duo of like that's, you know, one is kind of more serious, one is kind of more comedic, and
The
I feel
chemistry is on point.
yeah, the chemistry is on point, and I feel like, you know, especially during the 80s, we had a lot of those like duo comedies
Yeah.
where it's like a straight man versus like more comedic, like laid back, easygoing kind of character. So I don't see it really being remade, but I kind of agree. I don't really see Daniel Day-Lewis playing this.
No, he would never do it.
I don't think he would ever do it. I think it would be kind of out of place. Honestly, even James Corden would be out of place
Yeah.
for this movie.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper would be kind of out of place for this movie. This is kind of more like a B level kind of movie. I feel like almost it would be honestly like a Kenan and Kel kind of reboot in a way, because obviously you had like Kenan, who was more of the serious note, and then you had Kel, who's kind of the goofball, and like it would be them two, and then just I don't know. I
feel like it could be like a Workaholics episode too. Like
Yeah.
those three with just like a dead body.
Yeah, you could
Like
make
that,
it the
yeah.
3 guys instead
Yeah.
of 2 kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you could add like a little
3 men and a dead body.
Yeah.
Instead of 3 men and a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, so when I looked into all of this, I somehow ended up on a Reddit forum on who people would cast in Weekend at Bernie's 3.
That's how it starts.
And
I'm excited.
I went down the rabbit hole of
The
Reddit.
best place, Reddit.
I love Reddit. I found some interesting things. So one of the top contenders to play, they never said which character they wanted to see him in, but Pedro Pascal was a fan favorite to be in Weekend at Bernie's 3. Why? I don't know. I love Pedro Pascal. Do I see him doing Weekend at Bernie's
Not
3?
really.
Not really.
No, I don't see him as that.
Yeah, but I thought
Like
that
in
was
any
interesting.
role.
Yeah, I don't
Whether
either.
It's Bernie or Larry or anything. Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. I have another fun fact that I found out while researching the movie. This one's kind of just not as good as Daniel Day-Lewis. I'll leave it at that. But Drew Barrymore, when she does her talk show, she interviewed Andrew McCarthy, and she told him that she was telling him a story of like a family folklore, if you will, where she
called
says
E.T.
that someone in her grandfather was stolen from the morgue, kind of like Weekend at Bernie's 2, by his friends for like a wild night out on the town. And that was like her little tidbit for him. And I was like, I don't know. Kind of interesting, but also
No,
Is it
I feel like it was
no,
her
I
just
read-
trying to-
I feel like I read somewhere some like that not for aside from Drew Barrymore, that like these buddies went over to like see his buddy, and like they found out that he was dead when they arrived at his place, and they were to give him one last hurrah. They took him out on like a night of the town. So I feel like that's not.
it's happened multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like that's not like unheard of. Like, would I want that? I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit morbid, but
People dig up bodies for other reasons too.
That's true.
Yeah, and when he's on the train and the 2 guys leave him and then he takes off onto the next
Yeah.
stop, that I told Marissa, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of like that's a true story with Collateral. How it's sort of based on a true story, at least like that guy rides through all the stops, and they finally get to the very end, the last stop, and there's just a dead body sitting there because he rode all the stops and no one noticed. Throughout all of New York City, they're just like, it's just
there.
passed out dude.
Another
Whatever.
New Yorker.
Yeah, that's another dude.
Just
pissed
another New
himself
Yorker
again,
passed
whatever.
out
I feel
on
like
the
that's
train.
another like kind of slight link into the first one, where it's just like people just kind of being in their own world.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah, they don't pay
noticing.
attention to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also feel I didn't make I didn't note this when we were talking about the first one, but the fact that like Bernie gets laid twice when he's undead. somehow. Like,
Was it
I don't-
twice?
Is it twice? Or maybe
I know
it's just
once
mine.
for sure,
No,
yeah,
once
with that
for sure in
lady,
the first one. But then in the second one, I know like that one girl, like where she's like, "Oh, he's such a good dancer," and like,
Oh,
takes
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't think she sleeps with him. Well, she sleeps with him, but not
they
like
wake up
sexually.
on the beach.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, he's
And
so fun.
yeah, and he's just like, "Oh, wake up," and you're just like, "How?" But I love that line too, as they're going to sleep on the beach, where she's just like, "Oh, you're so chilly." Like,
Yeah.
it's just like he's dead.
Yeah.
This is so silly, but
He's dead,
Yeah.
you dumb bitch.
yeah. So I think overall, but like, I mean, ratings wise, like I
Go ahead. What's your rating?
I'm gonna. I hate to rate it so low just because
It's
I
not
still
great.
It's not
I
great.
still enjoy these characters though. Like I still love the two of those guys. I love Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman together. I'm gonna say 1.5 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a respectable number.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel bad, but
You shouldn't feel bad. I mean,
Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Those are the only redeeming qualities. Is like, you know, hey, we like
these
these
characters.
people, and
well,
they're
yeah,
coming
and
back.
and I know that like all three of those actors too, like Terry Kaiser and Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman, like they all still like they still love talking about Weekend at Bernie's. I know that it's a fun project for them to talk about, at least the first one for sure. Like they'll still talk about it to this day, like however many years later. They love talking about it at like Comic-Cons and everything like that. So I think it, you know, the fact that it's kind of a more of a cold classic, it's just it kind of brings something a little bit special. So I definitely think that Weekend at Bernie's, the first one, definitely should get more, like, I think should be higher.
It's definitely the stronger movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely the
100%.
stronger movie, which it like has no reason to be based once again on premise. But I think having these actors and like believing in them and their, you know, their dynamic together, I think just really like sends it home for me. So, but I still give the second one, it just had no business being made. So I'm gonna stick with my 1.5.
I give Weekend at Bernie's 2 a 2 out of 5.
Is that higher than Aliens?
Alien or Aliens?
Or Aliens?
Aliens.
Go back and check tape.
I
Yeah,
don't
was like, check
remember.
tape. Yeah, I was like,
I don't remember, but I think I gave it a 2 out of 5 just because same thing with you where I enjoyed the characters. I think I gave Aliens a 2.5 if I remember correctly.
God damn.
well,
I solely leave it on the reason why I gave this one a 2 is that I feel like Weekend at Bernie's, the first one, was such a culturally significant movie in like pop culture and Hollywood and everything, where they mentioned it in, like you've mentioned, they mentioned it Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Simpsons, Seinfeld, and all the
NCIS, don't forget
NCIS,
NCIS.
where I feel like Weekend
All
at
of the
Bernie's too.
things.
Beavis
It's
and Butthead.
mentioned a lot, but it's more so
Rick
just
and Morty.
like meh, like it's made fun of. But I feel like in that regard, I just couldn't love it as much. I still can't get over the voodoo. It's not for me. I don't really care for voodoo that
You don't like
much either.
Mobu?
No. Whenever I heard them like mention like Mobu, all I thought in my head was
Nobu?
Morbius.
Oh, I thought Morbius. I thought you were thinking of Nobu.
that's why I was like, every time we say Mobu, I was like, Nobu?
Yeah.
No, I
just
want
kept
sushi
thinking
now
of,
though. But
Oh, Nobu, no. Yeah.
what is it?
I just kept going Morbius.
Were there the Indians? That movie where the baseball team?
Oh, shoot.
Is it?
It's not bugging me now.
We were just watching it the other day.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
Angels in the
Damn
Outfield?
it.
No, not the
No,
Angels
no.
in the Outfit.
Major
though.
League.
Yeah, Major
Yeah.
League.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Major League, when they're
Mm.
just like, up your butt, Joe Boo. And the whole time I was like, up your butt, Mo Boo. Stupid. Sorry.
0.5 higher than Alien. That's insane.
Lower than Aliens.
No, yeah, you get 2.5. It's
Aliens was 2.5. This is 2.
okay. So 0.5. Aliens was okay.
But
whatever.
still, like a point.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane.
I gave Alien the 2.
I know,
not
but still
Aliens.
0.5. That's
Just let me be.
wild. It's
that's still wild.
let
You're
me
missing
be.
the point. It's
Still
wild.
wild,
It's a
still
wild
wild,
rating.
still wild.
I'm at 0.5. Was Weekend at Bernie's too. I just it's a
Damn.
bad
Zero?
movie. Yeah.
Not
it's-
even a 0.5?
No, I'm at
He
0.5.
hates it that much.
It's just it's a rough watch. Again, it's nothing against the cast. They're working with what they're working with.
Yeah.
The chemistry's still there. Terry Reiser's still having a good time. Again, he's killing it with zero dialogue, which is hard
Did
to
you
do for an
say
actor.
Terrorizer?
Terry Kaiser.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
Terry.
Terry.
I think you
was
said
that's-
Terry Reiser.
No,
for
I
that.
was like, that's a great nickname. like
The old
the old
terrorizer.
terrorizer. Well, no, like, and then they give him
He's a dead
nicknames
body.
too. And they go like, oh, the old Bernstein here.
Oh,
Like,
So again, it's the cast is fine. It's just I feel like they were missing the director from the original. The writing was even worse this time. It's not a good movie. It's not a good watch.
No, it is not. No, I give it a 1. Straight up 1 poppy. solid.
Respectable. Yeah.
It's respectable. It had some of the things, like, to keep it from getting a 0. Like, there's some things that are
I would say, like, yeah, like
and
the
it all
characters.
relies just on them having a good time. And being
Yeah.
like, hey, you know, like we knew we were making a shitty movie, but we had a really good time making that shit.
Yeah, I believe that they had a good time, and I think that they really, to this day, I'm not 100% sure, but I want to believe that they still, like, have some sort of, like, a conversation or communication between the cast members where, like, they all just have, like, a good camaraderie together, just because they just seem like a great cast, like, especially between the duo.
Yeah.
Between Larry and Richard, like, they just have such good chemistry. I hope that even when they're at, like, you know, conventions together or anything like that, they just seem like they riff off each other really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
anything else for Weekend at Bernie's too?
Oh, I don't know if I want to mention this. I feel like it's mentioned in, like, so many things regarding Weekend at Bernie's, but up for the original role was John Cryer.
Who's that?
Ducky,
Ducky?
the guy from 2.5 Men. Not Charlie
like,
Sheen.
You probably know him from 2.5 Men.
I've
never seen Two and a Half
never
Men.
seen
Oh, fuck,
Two and a
never
Half
mind
Men. Is he the other main character in Two and a Half Men?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know who he is then.
So anyway, he was
The one that isn't Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, the one that is not.
The one that doesn't have tiger blood.
Oh. You got that.
The one that doesn't have tiger
You got that tiger blood.
well, no, I just found it interesting because, like, he's along with the Brat Pack, so it's just,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. And then just speaking of the Brat Pack alone, I recently found this out while diving into this movie, but Andrew McCarthy wrote kind of like a memoir about the Brat Pack, and then they actually just released, I want to say, like, a documentary not too long ago about that memoir. So, like, there's a whole, like, kind of bit about the Brat Pack, which I think is just fun in general.
Yeah.
So if you want more info on that, I mean, this is not a Brat Pack movie, but it definitely kind of, I think, wanders between, like, having John Cryer potentially cast and then Andrew McCarthy. I think it's just a fun little tidbit.
Yeah, like they interlink.
Yeah, it's just interwoven very well. So, but I think other than that, I was like, yeah, Weekend at Bernie's, great.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend, but no need for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those
Unneeded.
sequels that were just not needed.
Yeah,
Not needed at all.
unnecessary.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. An unnecessary, an unnecessary sequel. Well, if there's nothing else, I think that's it for us for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about Weekend at Bernie's or even Weekend at Bernie's 2. I hope you enjoy the rest of whatever's left of your summer. You know what?
Have a great summer, guys.
Yeah.
No dead bodies.
Woo! Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, the podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.